Are we live? Welcome to Creature Guide Live Daily News. For those of you that don't know, my name is Ethan. Today we're going over a new species of sauropod that's been discovered, as well as going into a variety of other different species of dinosaurs. And we are streaming on both Rumble, YouTube, and Kick. So it seems to possibly be, I'm guessing, a member of the Saltosaur lineage of sauropod dinosaurs. And I'm wondering if it's occurring during or it was discovered from a Cretaceous layer, considering this seems to be some sort of crocodilomorph, which aren't too common in certain Jurassic layers in different parts of the world. So let's take a look. New small Titanosaur species discovered in Brazil. Okay, so it is a species of Titanosaur and likely a member of Titanosauridae and not just a Titanosauromorph, considering the Titanosauromorphs were already existing um, much further back into the beginning of the true sauropods evolution around 175 million years ago. Whereas true members of Titanosauridae don't really start occurring in the fossil record until somewhere around 140 million years ago during the early Cretaceous period. Paleontologists have announced the discovery of a small sized Titanosaurian dinosaur in the Brazilian state of Sao Paulo. A wide variety of different species of sauropod dinosaurs, as well as certain species of theropod dinosaurs, and even certain smaller ornithopods have been discovered in the Sao Paulo fossil formations of Brazil. Let's see how truly small this animal is, considering there are very few species of dwarf sauropod dinosaurs have been discovered. There is Megarosaurus, which existed somewhere around 68 million years ago over in Hungary and um, what's this other country? Believe the Czech Republic, somewhere around 68 million years ago, weighing not much more than 1,800 pounds or a little over 700 kilograms. And then you had Europasaurus, which existed in Germany somewhere around 155 million years ago during the late Jurassic, and also being around the 1,200 to 2,000 pound range, or ranging between 500 and 800 kilograms. The newly identified dinosaur species roamed our planet from the late Santonian to the early Campanian age of the Upper Cretaceous epoch, approximately 83 million years ago. Yeah, 83 million years ago is about the beginning of the Campanian stage of the Cretaceous. This is when some of the earlier species of tyrannosaurs used to exist, and as well as certain earlier species. Some of the first true members of Ceratopsidae, but Ceratopsidae might be off by 1 or 2 million years later into the Cretaceous. This is around the time some of the first species of Hadrosauridae or the duck-billed dinosaurs would have evolved. Named Iberaniae parva, the ancient creature had an estimated body length of 5.7 meters or 18.7 feet. This is a typical size for a dwarf species of sauropod. I find this rather fascinating considering Megarosaurus and Europasaurus are somewhere around the same length. Europasaurus might be slightly longer, and also Europasaurus is a Camarasauromorph, which at this point in the Mesozoic era, the lineage had already gone extinct. It was a member of Titanosauridae, so it's the least at the moment. It's not mentioning Titanosauridae, so it's a primitive, or it's a bit more basic when it comes to identifying this animal in specific families of sauropods. So we don't really know, at least at the moment, the subfamily of which to it would belong to, which is fine. It was just discovered. A diverse group of long-necked sauropod dinosaurs that lived from the late Jurassic epoch to the end of the Cretaceous period. Titanosauridae, you could say, popped up somewhere around 150 to 160 million years ago and would continue until the late Cretaceous. Also, let's look up a species of carnivore, the Pyknemosaurus. So, Pyknemosaurus. So this is or did it appear?
Yeah, but I think you misspelled something in it. Pycnonemosaurus. Is that right?
I think so. Should look like a certain species of carnivore or a bellysaur. So this is technically at the moment the largest species of a bellysaur to evolve. It existed over in South America somewhere around 70 to 75 million years ago. And this animal could reach somewhere between 30 to 34 feet in length, or a little over 10 meters, and probably weigh somewhere around 3 to 3.5 tons. So quite a that is not even close. That's a really bad AI picture. It's like somebody mixed a Dinosaur with a T Rex. You could say the osteoderms to a certain extent, like the structure of the tail does have a bit of an abelisaur sort of a look. And then, the dinosaur on the bottom almost resembles like a young, um, that young Albertosaurus statue from the University of Alberta, or the Museum of the University of Alberta. At least that's what first came to mind. Let's see,
Okay,
but that
what's with
other
the
picture,
weird teeth on this thing?
that's because you're looking at its foot.
No, here.
Oh, um,
It has little tiny teeth and then fangs. Unless I'm seeing that wrong.
yeah, you could say that the lips are a little too, or the gums and the teeth are a bit too exposed on the bottom jaw with that specific belly sore. I'm guessing that's the Pachynemosaurus. This animal is likely feeding on different species of Saltosaur sauropod dinosaurs over in South America, different parts of Brazil, Uruguay, as well as Chile and Argentina, when there are a wide range of different conifer forests for the different species of sauropods to feed on, as well as different species of armored nodosaurs and even smaller species of ornithopods at this point. And the abelisaurs and the megaraptors were the top predators. I don't mind this overall hunting depiction, especially where it seems to be smushing an opponent to that bit off
I
a
know, I like that.
little piece of its neck. I mean, it definitely would be quite painful. Yeah, I think this looks good. It's also making out that the Picnemosaurus, as well as Bellysaurus in general, would have been fairly decent parents. It is possible that you might have had it where both the male and the female might have taken care of the young. That just tends to be shown with certain larger species of theropod dinosaurs, as well as certain smaller species such as the oviraptorids or the dromaeosaurs.
This guy looks happy.
Yeah, it seems to be somebody's model. Looks pretty good. The arms of this animal are, they're quite tilted back, which in many recent reconstructions is a typical look for belly sores. Some are pointed a bit further, towards the ground, not necessarily in distance, just at the angle. But the overall, like, skin pattern looks pretty good, as well as even the armored area on top of the upper jaw, or the upper part of the scale, not scale, the skull of this animal. What is interesting is that he did add small feathers to the belly sore.
Where?
You can somewhat see them at the top.
Oh, I see that.
Um, I
If you're
think
watching this on a small screen, I don't think you can see it. It almost looks like his hair.
yeah, the certain species of ornithopods lately, so different members of the iguanodont lineage of dinosaurs, have also been receiving more feathers. Not necessarily more feathers, like several rows of feathers on reconstructions, which is quite interesting considering the skin patterns that we have found of these animals tend to be quite um, pale when it comes to just overall feather accumulation, which there isn't any evidence for any. Trying to think of who else. Let's just head back to the article. So Titanosaur is a clade of neosauropods with a remarkable diversity and worldwide distribution, said Dr. Bruno Navarro, I think he's popped up a few times, paleontologist with the Museu de Zoologia at the Universidad de Sao Paulo, and his colleagues from Brazil and Germany. They are known to exhibit conspicuous body size disparity marked by the occurrence of giant and nanoid species. I'm not exactly sure what nanoid is supposed to represent. They represent the most typical large-bodied herbivorous faunal component in the late Cretaceous biotis from the southern continents. That's because Titanosauridae would consist of animals such as Argentinosaurus, and which is the largest species of dinosaur to exist or land animal in general. We reaching somewhere around 120 feet in length and probably weighing 85 to 88 tons, likely still roaming in herds of 20 to 30 individuals, probably having to take in somewhere between 2 to 3,000 pounds of food a day, or at least somewhere around 1,000 to 1,200 kilograms of food. And I'm guessing it's somewhere around 40 meters in length. Nonetheless, they are also present in Laurasia with some forms from the early Cretaceous.
Where's Laurasia?
Laurasia would consist of the continents of North America, Europe, and Asia, and Gondwanaland would be South America. Oh, yeah, South America, Africa, Australia, and Antarctica. So at least this is what we have discovered of this specific species of Titanosaur. This is decent for many species of new dinosaurs, whether it's a carnivorous theropod, an herbivorous ornithopod, or even in this case, the sauropods. For some reason, with certain horned dinosaur species, such as the ceratopsians, they tend to be a bit more complete, or at least it's more likely to find the skull of the animal. Probably because maybe putting aside certain earlier species that didn't really have a frill or horns, they had some of the most robust skulls of any lineage of dinosaurs. Probably setting aside the ankylosaurs, the ceratopsians had the most robust skulls. But it's good to see some of these little bit of the cervical vertebrae or the vertebrae from the neck, some of the back vertebrae up around the hip area, part of the shin bone, which is interesting, and even part of the upper right hand forearm bone. Still good to see. See, we got a toe on the back leg. Um, Also a front toe on the front leg too. Doesn't seem to be any toe claws, however, which is unfortunate. But it's good to see we still got some toe bones and a handful of tail vertebrae, complete tail vertebrae. I guess what 35 to 40% of the way to the end of the tail.
Where?
But it's quite that blue one.
Yeah, but it's only one.
Yeah, that's what I was referring to. And
Oh,
there are
you meant
those other.
35 to 40% of the way down the tail. I
Yeah.
thought you were saying we had 35 to 40% of the tail.
That has occurred with certain species of sauropods, and what's also interesting is the larger species, maybe due to their large size, the bones were somewhat able to be preserved a bit better, or just they were able to handle certain weather events better. But usually, they're immediately covered in sediment if it's a very well preserved specimen. Let's look up another species of carnivore. So Dubrillosaurus. So Dubrillosaurus. Should look like somewhat a species of megalosaur, considering it is a member of Megalosauridae. This animal is in fact from France and it existed in France during the late Jurassic, I believe, around 150 million years ago. So it is possibly a descendant of the larger Megalosaurus that inhabited different parts of England around 165 to 170 million years ago.
Okay, somebody looks confused.
Yeah, that's that annoying AI Suchomimus,
Uh,
which did not coexist with Dubrillosaurus. And Suchomimus is also a member of the Spinosauridae lineage of dinosaurs. However, Suchomimus, like every Spinosaur, is a member of the Megalosauroideae lineage of dinosaurs, like the Dubrillosaurus and Megalosaurus. Megalosauroideae is a very large lineage of theropod dinosaurs. It's like the Allosauridae lineage of dinosaurs, um, the Coelurosaur lineage too. So, yeah, that is one nice thing about Debryllosaurus is that we have much of the skull intact. This wasn't a very large theropod dinosaur. It was maybe somewhere around 15 to 18 feet in length, or pushing between 4.5 to 5.5 meters. And
Okay, We Are Venom said, aren't the wait, hold on. Are those the nut jobs in Jurassic Park? Which
oh,
one yeah, which one's he referring to?
I think he's referring to this specific carnivore. Um, Now, there was, you could say, a certain carnivore. I think it was a really bad reconstruction of a ceratosaurus that some might confuse with a species of a bellysaur like the Picanimasaurus or the Carnotaurus we were referring to earlier. But there weren't any bellysaurs, at least in the movie franchise, if you're keeping out the video games.
And then
But this specific
We Are
animal,
Venom said, "The names and the spellings are hurting my brain." Well, he's making me spell them, so well, that's not true. He's spelling them for me. I can't spell this stuff.
if you're referring to, specifically the, Debryllosaurus carnivore, like the megalosaur that we're talking about at the moment, or that we just brought up, in this specific picture, which I think looks pretty good, it does have a bit of a dromaeosaur type of appearance to it. However, it is very distantly related to the Dromaeosaur lineage of dinosaurs and the Coelurosaurs in general. It's not a close relative of really any species of Coelurosaur. So the Coelurosaurs were a group of theropod dinosaurs that would consist of the Dromaeosaurs, the Megaraptors, which are not Dromaeosaurs, with their own lineage of Coelurosaur, the Tyrannosaurs, and even into modern day birds. Few other lineages of theropod dinosaurs too. But no, Dubryllosaurus was not the, you could say, Velociraptor, Deinonychus, or Utah raptors of Jurassic Park. Because I mentioned those three genre of raptors because they're often referred to um, as those specific models over in the movies.
I thought they
But
didn't actually have velociraptors in Jurassic Park.
um, you thought they didn't have them?
Yeah.
Well, okay, so they are referred to as velociraptors, but they're a bit closer in size to, you could say, maybe a kilobrator, but a kilobrator still far outsizes any of the raptors in Jurassic Park. Kilobrator was probably around 5 to 700 pounds, or a little over what's 300 kilograms. But, where was I getting at? Also pushing a length of somewhere between 12 to 15 feet, or, between 4 to 4.5 meters. Whereas, Velociraptor is like 6 feet in length, and or, somewhere around, 1.8 meters, and probably around 30 pounds, or a little over 12 kilograms. And, and Utah Raptor was the largest, reaching over 1,100 pounds, or pushing 500 kilograms. But, Dubryllosaurus, they're having a lot more reconstructions recently
I
of
gotta break in again.
what happened.
Name a handful of duck-billed dinosaurs.
Okay. So, um, also in Jurassic Park, but it's fairly limited in species. I wanna mention them real quick. You just had Parasaurolophus and Corythosaurus in the 3rd movie, but you would have a wide range of other species, especially if referring to just the species over in Alberta, Canada, during the Late Cretaceous, like Lambeosaurus, Hypacrosaurus. Who else? Maiasaura. And then over in Asia, like especially different areas of Mongolia and China, you would have Tyrannosaurus, a separate species of Saurolophus. Let's see, who else? Barspoldia, Lucititan over in Russia. Let's see.
Did that answer your question, Venom?
And trying to remember specifically others.
Oh, he said he
Oh,
thought there was a species actually named duckbill.
not that I can think of at the moment. And there are certain species of hadrosaurs or duck-billed dinosaurs that have a bit more similar of a beak-like reconstruction, or you could say structure to like a modern day duck. But first of all, it would be made out of solid bone, whereas ducks, they aren't as much. It's almost like a very reinforced layer of keratin. But let's see who else. Many of the duck-billed dinosaurs, their beaks are also curved down towards ground. What is the benefit in that? I'm not entirely sure. I think it's up for debate with many species of paleontologists as well. Dubrilosaurus, in this instance, this megalosaur would not have fed on different species of hadrosaurs, simply due to the fact that hadrosaurs would still not evolve until the very end of the Cretaceous period. So this animal existed around 70 to 75 million years before the first hadrosaurs would have evolved. There were different species of iguanodontids that are, well, yeah, probably iguanodontids had already occurred at this point. They were fairly small, not really reaching much more than 20 feet in length. They're pushing 6 meters and probably weighing somewhere around 16 to 1700 pounds, or a little over. What- This animal could have fed on certain small species of ornithopods, like certain related members of the, what was it, Thessalosaurian lineage of dinosaurs, as well as the um, smaller ornithopods like Dryosaurus, but even certain medium-sized species of sauropods like the Cetiosaurus, which did exist in England around this point in the Jurassic, somewhere between 155 to 160 million years ago. And what is interesting is that what somewhat resembles allosaurs is this specific horn-like structure towards the front of its skull. It's still very distinct from the allosaurs in general. I mean, the overall snout is not really it's not really an allosaur trait when you're looking at the overall structure. The arms are also a bit more robust compared to many species of allosaurs. Megalosaurs in general did have decently robust arms, or at least forearms, compared to their body size, unlike many species of theropod dinosaurs. If you're, I guess, if you're referring to members of the Allosauridae lineage of theropods and the certain other megalosaurs in general, but I'd say megalosaurs because you're taking into account different species of spinosaurs, metriacanthosaurs, at least when it comes to Dubrilosaurus, it doesn't really seem to, or at least so far, there hasn't been a conclusion as to what specific subfamily of megalosaurs this animal is a part of, considering there are many species at this point in the Mesozoic that are simply members of Metracanthosauridae, which I would not be surprised if at some point this appears in that subfamily. Um, let's head back to you know what I also like is that there are lips, because this is also a recent find for practically all species of dinosaurs, whether it's a carnivore or an herbivore. Though animals that are members of the ceratopsian lineage or the horned dinosaurs like Pentaceratops, Triceratops have been reconstructed with lips for a very long time. To an extent, you could say I might be mixing it up with the cheeks, and their beaks would have covered up the rest of their mouth. So, heading back to the article, at least four specimens of Iberania parva were recovered from an outcrop of the Jose do Rio Preto Formation at Sitio dos Ramos Garcia in Vila Ventura, northeastern Sao Paulo state, Brazil. The nanism observed in Iberania parva is associated with the evolution of an endemic fauna in response to the stressed environment conditions of the Sao Jose do Rio Preto Formation, characterized by prolonged drought periods. Well, this isn't necessarily a surprising phenomenon when it comes to a wide variety of different ecosystems that many species of dinosaurs inhabited during the Mesozoic era. It was prone, or many of these ecosystems, not just in South America, over in North America, Africa, Asia, Europe, were very prone. Australia, and even in some cases, Antarctica, were prone to wet and dry seasons. You would have had certain regions, especially in this point to the Cretaceous, that might have experienced certain periods of snowfall, or basically the four seasons that we experience today, just to a smaller extent. Or I guess you could say, not as intense, especially the winters. Like certain animals towards the poles or over in the Arctic and the Antarctic would have experienced blizzards. Let's see, but definitely over in South America, over in Africa, dry seasons would have been quite common, but these animals would have been somewhat adapted to these conditions. You can still have it where animals that are evolved for a wet and dry season, sort of a change, can still succumb to these events because they are rather quite harsh. Also, during the dry season, you could say the wet season too, but they can be prone to many diseases if they're not able to keep themselves consistently well fed because, well, without being well fed, you're prone, or these animals are prone to a weak immune system. So even dinosaurs had to be careful with diseases. The crocodile see marine reptiles too. So they also found that Iberania parva belonged to Saltasaurinae. Well, that is what I was wondering, considering when looking at this specific species of sauropod, it has a very Saltasaur look, especially with the specific osteoderms. But even when looking at the reconstruction in general, it does have there's something about the structure of the neck, the tail. It's a bit of a sturdy build too. Certain older reconstructions of Saltasaurs, in fact, we can bring up another species, they would look much more skinny. That isn't really the case these days. Saltosaurus, Saltasaurus. This animal is also from Argentina towards the very end of the Cretaceous, around 68 million years ago. So, after this specific species of Saltosaur existed, Saltosaurus was also one of the largest species of Saltosaurs to exist. Actually, there is another much larger species, not Saltosaur, but just came to mind. Rayungosaurus. Ray. Wait a second. I think it's Roy. Angosaurus. The larger species, or what seems to be a sauropod, popped up. Yeah, okay. This is not him. He's
And that
basically
wouldn't that
a
thing
bunch.
be huge?
Well, he also looks like a walking with dinosaurs, Brachiosaurus, which I think the Walking with Dinosaurs, the 1999 series, Brachiosaurus looked good. I mean, I like the model, but for today, it's far too skinny. This is a bit closer. I'd say the neck is it might be a bit too long compared to its body size, and certain, especially even the legs look a bit out of proportion. Especially on this model, they look a little too skinny. Yeah, he's got issues too, especially since he's lacking thumb claws, and his overall core is far too high off of the ground, or maybe it's just that he needs a slight bit more of a belly. Ooh. Oh, wow. This actually looks pretty good. Like the thunderstorm in the back, little conifer forest on the edge. Almost looks like, I wonder if this is supposed to try to represent a slight seasonal sort of a look in the Cretaceous period where this animal inhabited. Wait a second, early Cretaceous? Yeah, yeah, this is Cretaceous. We're seeing different species of oviraptorids. I can't tell if that's supposed to be an earlier species of Tyrannosaur, or that's some sort of a dromaeosaur. I think it's a dromaeosaur because I'm seeing sickle claws. Um, and also those look like as dark pterosaurs in the sky, which really don't start appearing in the fossil record until somewhere between 125 and 140 million years ago. So, anyway, when it comes to a Ryungosaurus, this species of dinosaur could reach somewhere around 60 to 80 feet in length, or pushing between like 18 to 26 meters, and probably weighed somewhere around 30 tons. These animals were likely feeding on different species of conifers, probably even occasionally fed on different species of shrubs or early Cretaceous bushes, as well as some of the different species of flowers that occurred in the region, but likely feeding on a wide variety of different species of conifers. You probably had it where there were certain open woodland forests for these animals to roam through as well as forage. But it's very possible that the somewhat dense forests that they could walk through and forage would have had specific areas, maybe even possibly created by them. They were just used over thousands of generations, would have allowed them to cut through the forest and efficiently feed because there have been certain theories that certain forests would have been too dense for the sauropods. Um, I think the only way that you could stop a herd of sauropods from moving through a forest is having extremely mature and simply wide trunked trees that might stop them. And you're talking about trees that weigh several hundred tons, which occur with certain redwoods and sequoias today over in California. Oh, let's see. Guess we could go back to the article. Oh, wait, there was that other guy, Saltosaurus. So this animal inhabited the Ryungosaurus, I believe, was from China during the Cretaceous period, early Cretaceous.
China.
But yeah, Saltosaurus. This animal is from Argentina, Chile, so Patagonia during the late Cretaceous, and likely had to deal with different species of carnivores like the Megaraptors and Carnotaurus itself. So, Saltosaurus was somewhere around 45 feet in length. They're pushing around 13 to 13.5 meters and probably weighed somewhere around 8 to 9 tons. And it is also a very heavily armored sauropod for its kind and sauropods in general. It is interesting, like, why? That's not a Saltosaurus. This is a Nigerosaurus. So, this animal would have inhabited Niger, so over in southern sub Saharan Africa.
That was not my fault. It said it was.
Yeah, it's annoying when that happens. During the early Cretaceous period, around 112 million years ago. It was also much smaller than Saltosaurus. This animal, I think, was somewhere around 25 feet in length. They're
But I'm saying,
pushing.
can they swim?
Oh yes. Um some a bit better than others, especially when it looks like probably different species of theropod dinosaurs might have been more efficient at swimming than others. It's a huge debate with certain species like Spinosaurus. It keeps changing with every single year with that individual. And will probably even continue with even the newest species that has been discovered. I think it was Spinosaurus ultrox, because then there's the larger and much more robust Spinosaurus aegypticus.
Wait a minute. How many Spinosauruses are there?
Well, there's just two species of the genus Spinosaurus, but Spinosauridae in general, you have around 12 to 15 different species. When it comes to sauropods, the horned dinosaurs, ceratopsians, even the ankylosaurs and nodosaurs, I think there were certain older theories that were concerned about the ankylosaurs because they assumed that these animals would sink. But it is very likely that well, I think it's also a bit of a debate as to whether or not they might have been quite buoyant. But these animals, for the most part, could efficiently swim.
Wait, I always forget. Are all dinosaurs hollow boned?
Technically, yes, you just have different species like the tyrannosaurs, different species of horned dinosaurs like the larger ceratopsians, even certain hadrosaurs that had very dense bones compared to the sauropods, which actually had quite hollow bones compared to many other species of dinosaurs. Ceratopsians are known for being some of the most dense bone dinosaurs of any lineage.
Which is why they could trample everybody.
Yes. I mean, they were probably. It's also a bit of a debate as to whether or not they would have been able to rear up on their hind legs, especially when it came to the much larger species of ceratopsians like Triceratops. But many reconstructions do show them rearing up on their hind legs, at least when it comes to animals like Pentaceratops. But it weighs much less than Triceratops, like maybe 5 tons. Triceratops was reaching somewhere around 12 to 15 tons. Um, guess we can hop on to the other article. But yeah, even the carnivorous dinosaurs like the dromaeosaurs, allosaurs, tyrannosaurs, despite how small like the forearms are with some of these dinosaurs, they seem to be very efficient at swimming. Looking at the different biomechanics of their hind legs. They also found oh, I already said that. Um, this new species not only represents one of the smallest sauropods described to date, but according to our expanded phylogenetic analysis, also represents to the first unequivocal saltosaurine titanosaurian reported for Brazil. Wonder what it's meaning by that unequivocal.
It's the smallest one.
Yeah, that's what I'm guessing. It's just because it's the smallest. This would set, I mean, a record for South American sauropods in general for a very tiny um, species of sauropod to exist, and it not just being some juvenile saltosaur. So it really is good to see. This doesn't happen very often.
Yeah, that was a weird way to state that. I'm not sure why it's stating it that way.
Technically, the saltosaurs did occur back in the early Cretaceous period, so well over 130 million years ago. We started seeing saltosaurs and even saltosaurs of similar size to the larger species later into the late Cretaceous. It is interesting with a lot of different or several different lineages of dinosaurs. This is also seen in certain early carnivorous species, considering the carnivorous species of dinosaurs really did get a bit of a leap into large size, at least for their time, compared to different species of herbivorous dinosaurs, but also at the beginning of the dinosaurs' reign during the Triassic period. So, over 210 million years ago.
That was making it look like they were the largest sauropods, though. Well, when I pulled up that other picture,
Like the skeleton of that
no, no,
Nigersaurus.
no, no. The
Oh, right here. Well, this species is one of the larger, and I'd say more of longer species of sauropods, but technically even Argentinosaurus is pushing the upper limits for one of the longest dinosaurs to exist. Technically, the longest dinosaurs we have discovered so far, somewhere between 130 and 150 feet, or pushing between 50 to 70 meters.
but what's the weight difference?
Well, these specific species of Titanosaurians are much lighter. This might be either a Titanosaur or possibly a member of the like Sophospondylid lineage of sauropods, which are two completely different lineages. And I'm wondering because that specific structure of the skull, also the neck in general, this is more of like a Mamenkasaurid sort of a reconstruction, even when looking at the smaller core area and the tail, it's almost technically shorter than the neck itself. It is odd as to why certain species of sauropod dinosaurs um, grew or evolved much longer necks compared to their body size and scored much shorter tails, unlike certain other species. You do have it where certain members of the diplodocid lineage of sauropod dinosaurs had somewhat equal neck to tail lengths, but technically the tails were slightly longer. But
But
in
you're
this
not
case,
speaking directly of Diplodocus, though.
oh, I mean, he is one species you could say I'm referring to. Just the overall diplodocids in general, considering Diplodocus is a member of Diplodocidae. Um, I was a bit confused at first. These seem to be a completely separate lineage of saltosaurs, or like a species of saltosaur in the area. And um, really wondering,
That neck is crazy long.
very Mamenkasaur like. Then we have yes, certain oviraptor. It's just not hitting me what specific species. Some odd member of the Paravis lineage of theropod dinosaurs over here. Unless it's supposed to represent some Alvarezsaurid theropod dinosaur, maybe a mononychid, but I'm guessing something related to Paravis. Probably certain omnivores in the region, so likely feeding Possibly even raiding different dinosaur eggs, which did occur with several species of smaller carnivorous theropods.
Except for those look like they're their nests.
Well, no. Well, I was referring to these guys being
Oh,
egg
okay.
raiders. No, I mean this could happen with them as well, but it tends to be often mistaken for the oviraptors, considering oviraptor means egg thief. Um, in Greek. And these animals, there have been several specimens where they have been found in the center of a circular array of eggs, and specifically their eggs that they're protecting. I wonder what this is. This looks almost like a smaller Tyrannosaur, but maybe it's supposed to be a younger version of them. It's just more of a brown color, kind of like with what you see in bald eagles today, where the fledglings are more of a brownish, whitish sort of a accumulation. Some mysterious species of Dromaeosaur here. Oh, he's in the midst of the oviraptorids. Oh, maybe this one's supposed to be the mate of this, and her mate's just not there at the moment. Or at least that's what it's supposed to be depicting. And he's trapped. That's interesting.
Or he's looking for dinner.
Yeah, he really wants some scrambled oviraptorid eggs. Or, well, sunny side up oviraptorid eggs. With maybe some sauropod bacon on the side. Oh, was there anything else? Oh, yeah. In South America, so back to the article. Saltosaurines display a conspicuous reduction in their body sizes, which has been explained as either a response to geographical restriction to a vast north-south coastal corridor of the Andean region in the latest Cretaceous. So this is referring to the western coast of South America, so along different parts of Chile into even, like, I believe, northwestern Argentina and, certain parts of Peru, I believe. In the latest Cretaceous, or to occupation of new and restricted environments formerly occupied by diplodicoid sauropods. Yeah, I believe there might be a family, the Diplodocoi lineage of sauropods, which is a much larger branch of the long-necked dinosaurs, compared to just Diplodocidae, because that's just simply a family of this specific clade. Considering clades tend to represent much larger lineages of different types of animals, especially when you're talking about dinosaurs. In this case, sauropods, it's kind of like the Allosauridae or the Megalosauridae or larger clades of carnivorous theropod dinosaurs. Um, okay, so thanks for joining. And from prehistoric to present, my name is Ethan. This is Creature Guide Live Daily News. We are streaming on both Rumble, YouTube, and Kick. And remember that nothing is better than all animals all the time. And happy International Saltosaur Day.